Hello, welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. Hope you've all had some really great discussions. Slowly all coming back together. Waiting for everybody to be back in the space. Thank you to all the ECF members of staff for facilitating. I know that there were a few people dropping in and moving a few people around, so thank you for accommodating that. Brilliant. So Linda.
Yeah, hi. Thanks again, everybody. We are going to ask for some feedback now, and I will run through our facilitators. Facilitators, if you don't mind just feeding back on your top one priority. It is now nearly just coming up to 20 to 8, so I just want to make sure we all get a chance to feed that back and also complete the poll. So please don't forget, we are asking for your top one recommendation for which initiative you believe Exeter should be exploring further and wants to take forward. We will take all of your top initiatives in your notes as well and put them into the report and be in touch with you following the event, asking who would want to be involved in looking at taking this forward anyway. So this is just a snapshot, so please bear with us for that. If you could just stop your sessions recording, facilitators, as well, if you get a chance just to press stop recording. James, if I could come to you, please.
Yeah, sure. We covered a lot. It's hard to obviously boil it down into one priority, but we talked about how we support those areas that are kind of tucked away and have less footfall, like Gandhi Street, and kind of talking about how we maximize the support for those businesses, as well as I think there's a big conversation about kind of diversity in the city and how that needs to be addressed, and slash welcome. How do we encourage more diversity in the city, welcoming it? We'll get a lot more kind of students coming because of that, which obviously boosts the local economy massively. There was a challenge around the idea of those big retailers and stores and how they kind of are seen compared to independents, because of how independents actually contribute largely to the culture of a city. So not to forget that. And kind of off the back of that, the three key things from us were focus and boost investment of independent areas and those streets, placemaking quick wins, so the cleaning and greening and sprucing up of those independent streets, fixing the litter issues, simple things like the cobbles and paving, making it more attractive, and also making streets more walk and cycle friendly. So I think in terms of the number one priority, I think the one thing that was maybe, hopefully my group would agree with me, is brought up over and over again, is the kind of the placemaking quick wins. How can we make these streets more enticing for people to come out and actually visit the shops, because that is going to be an issue that we face, and these are actually potentially quick wins that maybe should have already been or easily done. So you should be seen as quick wins. That's
lovely. Thanks very much, James. George, if I can come to you, and George is taking down our top priorities as we're speaking as well. So,
okay.
Asking you to go.
So I'll just do a quick one so we can get on to everyone else. We had a nice, diverse group of people in our room from businesses and all sorts of other sectors. Particular take home from this was that we should kind of keep the momentum up from this conversation and not just sort of have this be a one and done conversation, but then carry on in the future and establish working groups off the back of it that have real specific targets that people are committed to off the back of it. So we do we carry on this conversation, and this was like a really important first step, but that we don't stop at this, but we carry on the momentum that we've gained from doing this was the key take home.
Lovely. Thanks very much, George. Annabelle, if I can come to you next.
Yeah, so we also had some really interesting conversations, but the main comment that did keep coming up was how the city centre needs to not just be like a retail hub, but also a space to attract more people. And if we attract these people, how can we make them come back? How can we make them stay longer? How can we make them not just come for shopping, but also eat and go down to the quay and visit other places and the tourist attractions? So we were saying we could maybe make it pedestrianised and make it much more family friendly. There was one comment saying that they don't really feel like it's actually quite a family friendly city. So one way would be offering more entertainment within the city and maybe late night entertainment as well. Yeah.
Thanks very much, Annabelle. Mark.
Sorry, just to mute myself. Yeah, the dominant idea in our room was sort of like an electric bike car park and a cargo bike delivery network, which I swear isn't a plug for co-bikes. It was just the dominant feeling that came up that there need to be more solutions around using bikes and electric vehicles in general to get people in and out of the city and deliver stuff to people. And another thing that came up, which was interesting, was, as Annabelle said, having a safe and attractive city centre. I feel like we had some interesting perspectives where people felt the city centre wasn't as safe as it could be for families, wasn't as family friendly as it could be.
Lovely. Thanks very much, Mark. Andrew.
Oh yeah, so again, we had lots of varied and discussion points, which was really good. Our number one, though, was the sort of development and deployment of creative substitutes to the existing park and ride network. So in essence, developing extra parking hubs near major bus routes and train stations to allow more options for people to sort of do a part journey in the vehicle, but then the rest of it get onto public transport network to enter the city. And I think Karim called it a park and charge initiative was his term. So that was our number one from numerous discussion points.
Thanks very much, Andrew. Glenn.
Yeah, I mean, we had we had touched on some similar points. There was the delivery, a delivery network for local retailers was mentioned and very supported, and I think that we heard the panel talking about that to some extent as well. Some people felt very passionately about a lack of clean wash spaces in the city centre. I know it's a difficult thing, but I think particularly during COVID, that's been emphasised for some portions of the population, and I think that's very important. But the primary issue that came out of our group was that we felt it was very important for the city to support the development of community relationships for retailers large and small. And probably the number one thing that they felt you could do to support that would be to have a much stronger farmers market or market centre, which could do flexible things like an extension of the Christmas market, but themed, safe, and comfortable and regular market centre, which basically built a much stronger relationship with the community around which the other retailers could build themselves.
Thank you, Glenn. Elaine?
Hi, yes, we had some excellent discussion, so thank you to everybody in my room. I think the key thing that came out of it was we all had quite a bit of fear instilled in us, quite rightly, during the start of the pandemic and through lockdown, is to get that confidence back. And some people may have taken to online ordering and realised how easy it is. And once they get back to the city centre, they may well have one shot at feeling comfortable and safe when they come back to shopping. So perhaps information, real-time information kept up to date, is what people need to feel confident in the city centre. So what interventions have been put in place for their safety, which could well, seem quite daunting to start with, but understanding why those are there. which shops are busy, which shops are quiet, so people can choose where to go to feel confident. Where are the open spaces, which toilets are open, timings, you know, all information like this, really, just to give people as much information as they can to feel safe and confident when they do start to come back to the city centre, and build that level of confidence of being back in the centre again.
Thank you, Elaine. And for my group, it's great actually to see that there's a lot of commonality here around what we were talking about with the attractiveness and making it a city where there's multi-use spaces, and make it a place you can enjoy your time in. I think our number one suggestion was low traffic neighbourhoods. People felt that's really, really important, just to enable the spaces to be used better, for retail to occupy spaces as well, where footfall would actually increase for them. And we also talked around how cycling and walking across continents and things like that, when the research has taken place, has actually increased the level of spend in those areas where cycling and walking is encouraged. Just our interest, our other points that were raised were around buses shouldn't be diesel, and we should look for a place that can be turned into a great social space. So thanks very much for your time. As I said, we're going to collate all of the points that you raised that we haven't had time to share, and we will get back to you with that information and ask you which you might be interested in committing to and helping the city take forward. George is going to put that into a poll. We will vote on your top number ones just after we ask the panel to come back and ask them for their thoughts on the discussions today and the roundtable discussions particularly.